It's Tuesday, May 22nd, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we get our weekly Barnstable Police Department update, talk smart housing choice communities with planning and development, and meet the Town Hall Art on Loan artist. A look at today's weather. Hope you enjoyed the brief interlude of sunshine yesterday. Back to the murky May weather. It's cloudy early with showers for the afternoon hours. High 66, winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 60%. Best news of the day, sunset at 8 p.m. Let's start with some news you can use. The John F. Kennedy Hyannis Museum's latest exhibition opened Monday with a special ceremony at the Main Street facility. Creating Camelot, the photography of Jack Lowe features roughly 70 intimate behind-the-scenes photos of the former president and his wife, Caroline, taken by the famed photographer. The museum says the photos helped create the legend of the Kennedys' era of Camelot. The original negatives of the photos were lost in the 9/11 attacks. All that was left of the collection were stored elsewhere and recreated using Lowe's contact sheets and original prints. The ceremony featured comments from museum co-founder and curator Rebecca Pierce Merrick and John Allen, executive director of the John F. Kennedy Hyannis Museum. The photos will be on display at the JFK Museum on Main Street, Hyannis, through the summer season. Stay tuned this week for our interviews and sneak peek of the exhibit. AAA Northeast reports that the average price of self-serve regular gas is up another 6 cents in the state over the last week to $2.87 per gallon. The price is 5 cents below the national average and 59 cents higher than the same time last year. AAA Northeast Director of Public and Legislative Affairs Mary McGuire says the summer prices are the highest they have been since 2014, but that she does not expect it to impact tourism to Cape Cod. We are looking at state here in Massachusetts where you can easily get to Cape Cod on a quarter tank of gas or a half a tank of gas for most parts of Massachusetts, McGuire said. If you are going to be hitting the beach and not driving a lot during your week-long vacation this summer, it still becomes a very reasonable proposition to travel by car. According to GasBuddy.com, prices on Cape Cod range from $2.79 to $3.04 per gallon. Stay tuned for our interview with Deputy Chief Sonnabend. Check in with Deputy Chief Sonnabend. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Pretty good. The sun's out.
Yeah, for right now, yeah. Hopefully it'll stay out for a while.
Not today.
Well, we can always hope.
Exactly. But speaking of summer, the J1s are about to hit the streets with their bikes, and
They are. As anyone is familiar, the Cape Cod is a seasonal place, and a lot of different businesses and whatnot hire seasonal workers, and a big portion of that is people on the J1 visa program from other countries. They do come over the summer and work, and in a lot of these other countries, unlike here, bicycles and public transportation are a large portion of how people get around. A lot of people don't own cars or whatever. They tend to commute or ride bikes or walk or get on public transportation. And that being said, over the years, there have been some incidents where people on the J1 visa or people riding bikes at night and things like that from other countries, not understanding how the laws work and what we expect of bicycle riders here in this country. They just do what they do normally wherever they're from, and have led to incidents where people have been hit by cars or have gotten injured or put themselves into situations they really don't want to be in. With that in mind, we've partnered with a few different agencies around the town, most of them church-based groups, who bring in these J1 visas, the visa workers. They host hospitality nights, have a dinner, explain to them a variety of different things about medical programs, what to expect when you go to the hospital, things like that. And a portion of it is our part where we send some bike officers that talk about the bike laws of the Commonwealth, present a video, show them what's going on, answer questions, talk to them about what safety gear to wear and stuff like that. And the other part of this is to, as many of us, it's hard to understand from being here, but in other countries, the police may not really be viewed as your friend or whatever. They're more someone to be afraid of. And part of this is to get the idea of them that the American police operate a little differently than maybe what they're used to. And we are open to questions, and we're open to helping them out. So hopefully we'll help them to have a safe summer. But part of this is also speaking to people like you and the community and letting them know, hey, these people are getting ready to hit the streets on the bikes, and be cautious.
that's right, cautious of bikes and no left turns.
Yep, and not just the J1 visa owners. There's going to be a lot more bikes coming out. We're going to have our summer friends coming.
Right.
Bikes are going to be out. Please exercise caution and be aware these bikes are going to be out all times of the day and night now that the weather's getting warmer.
Yeah, and just to take a little bit more time, it seems that we all seem to be in a rush as the good weather hits, and as the traffic increases, we all have to just slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, put the phone down and watch what's going on.
Exactly. So you've had some activity in getting some drugs off the street recently, too.
Yes, we did. Our detective division, after a pretty lengthy investigation over a course of a couple of months, had targeted a couple of individuals in the Centerville area, Charles Curtis and Crystal Gentile, and Anthony Coaco. One of our detectives, Detective Kelly, applied for a search warrant for 20 Matticat Lane in Centerville. Was based on their investigation over the course of a few months, and on the afternoon of May 16th, the detectives executed the search warrant. And during that search warrant, they found Mr. Curtis in the house. He attempted to flee, but was apprehended after a brief foot chase. After the searching of the house, they found about 26 grams of fentanyl, about 2 pounds of marijuana, several digital scales, and other things that indicate that they were running a narcotics business out of the residence, and about $11,000 in cash. They also ended up going to a second residence out in Cotuit, where Mr. Curtis had previously lived, and searched that residence as well, and found about $15,000 more and about 4 grams of cocaine and some more evidence of stuff. And they also found several unsecured rifles and shotguns.
So that's a pretty big bust for you guys getting
Yes,
that
it
stuff.
was. Yes, it was. As a result of all this, Mr. Curtis was arrested and charged with trafficking in fentanyl, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, attempting to disarm a police officer, and resisting arrest. He was also charged with violating terms of his parole for 2 prior oxycodone trafficking investigations.
Well, good to get them off the street, as well as the guns. And
Absolutely.
the drugs.
But well, and I gotta let people know. People in neighborhoods or whatever get frustrated about things they see. Just remember that we don't always see everything, and people tend to assume that the police know what's going on in different neighborhoods.
Right.
We may not. If you have some ideas or you have an inkling of something that's going on, please reach out to us. Call the department, try Facebook, emails, whatever. We can certainly work with you to maintain some anonymity. And if you can give us an idea of what might be going on in your neighborhood, we can certainly start looking into things. And while not everyone's out there dealing drugs, and some things may be benign, we do need information from the public to find out where these people are.
That's great advice. Thank you. So we're just came off the week of celebrating first responders and Police Week, and you were one of the speakers up at the rededication of the Exit 5 overpass.
Yes, I was. I had the honor of being able to speak, and I think I want to thank Deputy Chief Exaros and Representative Hunt, Representative Senator Sear, for taking the time to do what needed to be done legislatively and around the community to have that honor bestowed on public servants around the Commonwealth by naming that bridge that goes over 149 at Exit 5 and putting up that flagpole. As you know, it's been kind of a tough month with the murder of Sean Gannon and other things, and it really brought a lot of things to people's minds. And putting something up like that, although as I was talking about, you really can't have service without sacrifice. And although we all may not make the ultimate sacrifice as Sean did, each day there are little sacrifices that we all make as far as coming to work on like holidays and other things, and not being with your family. And I think it's just nice to be able to drive through and see that that flag and that plaque just reminds you that people do care, and they do appreciate what they do each and every day.
We certainly do, Deputy Chief, and thank you for taking the time each week to talk to us and bring our residents up to date on what's going on at the Barnstable Police Department.
Not a problem at all. I enjoy it.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, have a great day.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
The Massachusetts Housing Choice Initiative rewards municipalities that have produced certain rates or amounts of new housing units in the last 5 years and that adopted best practices related to housing production that will sustain a 21st century workforce and increase access to opportunity for Massachusetts residents. We had Arden Carden, Special Projects Coordinator for the Planning and Development Department, in studio to help us understand the advantages of this new designation. The Baker-Polito administration has designated Barnstable as a housing choice community. With me today to explain what that is Arden Carden from the Planning and Development.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. This is a pretty big deal for Barnstable. Let's backtrack a little bit. How does one get a designation from the state as being a leader in housing here on Cape Cod?
So this is a new initiative for the state, the Housing Choice Initiative, and there were two categories for which we could apply. We actually, surprising even to those of us on the staff, was we were a high-producing community, so we needed to produce a certain number of building permits over the last 5 years. High producers produced 500 or more building permits, and we achieved that, mainly due to a new housing development, rental development on Independence Drive, which accounted for 230 of those building permits. So the timing was really right for us. If we had not been able to achieve that, there was a lower threshold, but then we would have also had to have made some other taken some other initiatives to supplement that, which we could have met. We could have met that as well. We have been taking those initiatives, but we were able to apply. We were able to achieve this with our 500 building permits over the last 5 years.
Right.
Residential building permits.
Residential. So it's kind of interesting because the hot button topic always on Cape Cod is housing. You can call it affordable with a big A or affordable with a little a. We don't really care. It's just housing it's workforce housing, it's housing for students, it's everything in between that. It's senior housing. So when we talk about that, how does this housing choice community, there's some resources that come along with this designation, correct?
There are resources that come with it, and that's why we were anxious to apply. And that's what we need, is resources to help us develop these tools that are going to create housing. The Housing Choice Initiative is not going to create a unit on its own, but it is going to give the community tools that will help us produce more housing. It's not just for affordable housing with the big A, like
Right.
you said. So it is going to open up an opportunity for grants. It is going to open up an opportunity for technical assistance, and then it also gets us what they call points, rewards on other applications to the state for initiatives that the community might be undertaking, potentially infrastructure improvements that will eventually hopefully help the housing production as well, but it also gets us priority on in those grant applications as well. So we, just having been designated recently, do not yet have a path mapped out as to what we will be seeking these funds for,
Right.
but we have so many ideas and projects and plans in the works that any sort of technical assistance or grant applications to help us achieve those and implement those will be really helpful.
Right. And it's interesting that you said infrastructure. I'd been reading up on this initiative, and there's several other communities on the Cape and the Islands that have received this designation. One of the things about infrastructure was, I believe it was over on the Vineyard, is they're going to tackle a wastewater sewering to a specific area so they can build more housing. So, you know, this is twofold. We can build housing, but we also need infrastructure to support that housing.
Absolutely, that's our main constraint on Cape Cod, is the lack of wastewater to accommodate a denser development of housing, which will naturally bring down the cost of that housing. So for developers to be able to create housing that would naturally be affordable to a median income buyer, their costs have to be brought down to some extent, and that would be with sewer. And we don't have a lot of that on Cape Cod. Hyannis is fortunate to have sewer, but our villages do not have sewer. So housing is not necessarily the box, that's the house.
Right.
It's all the other infrastructure that comes with it to make that doable. And often it's the pre-development work.
Right.
To find
and that's
the
where
site.
the technical assistance comes in.
Technical
correct?
assistance would come in to potentially do that for a particular site, or it might come to the town, to the planning department to research some zoning initiatives that we might be able to implement that would set the table for some housing developments to come into town, or potentially research some other grant opportunities that would assist us.
Right. So housing in Barnstable, it's one of those catch-22s. You have units that are going in. Housing Assistance Corporation was just granted the Ridgewood pocket neighborhood, which is kind of neat. There's other housing things that happen. You have a housing committee or a commission that actually meets, and you're looking for members, aren't you?
We are looking for members. We are looking for 2 associate members at this time, but they can participate in a full way as much as the regular members. We just changed the makeup of the board essentially to make it easier to get a quorum so that we could function. So we're looking for 2 associate members. You don't need to be a housing expert. Just come with some ideas or a desire to learn about housing, and the committee advises both the town manager and the town council on housing issues.
Great. So we're going to check in with you periodically to talk about it. Housing on the Cape right now, it doesn't matter what town that you're living in, has this connotation that we don't want big neighborhoods, and we, have adhered to that 2-acre plan of larger houses. But when we look at the workforce here that's in the service industry or in some of the even the white collar industries here on the Cape, we need housing that fits their lifestyles, not necessarily affordable, but just housing.
Housing, the differential in housing stock and styles is what Cape Cod is missing.
Right.
The town of Barnstable, 83% of our housing stock is single-family homes on large lots. That doesn't fit every person's lifestyle or at every point in their life. Right. We're calling the real estate market right now gridlocked because the people who are in a large single-family home and might want to downsize, there's no availability to do that. There's no alternative type of housing style, which does not then open up their house for the younger people and the families to move into. So it's gridlocked because there's no duplexes, apartments, smaller communities, smaller units for them to move to, which would free up the single-family home. So we just need a variety. We need a variety of styles for a variety of people and a variety of lifestyles.
Perfect. Great ending. Thanks, Arden.
Thank you.
Those visiting and using the town hall meeting rooms will find an inviting and culturally rich environment. This Art on Loan program provides an opportunity for our local artists to benefit from this exposure to so many who pass through Town Hall every day. Meet Ann Taka, this month's artist. Over the course of the year, Barnstable Town Hall has the pleasure of showing local artists' works in our hearing room. Today with me, Ann Taka, who is a visual artist and had a wonderful experience out at Sandy Neck this past fall.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So talk a little bit about how you became a visual artist.
I think I've always been a visual artist. So I was really lucky to have an artist as a mother. So from the time I was really young, our activities were always painting for fun and all of that. And then I enrolled in art classes when I was 8 years old and have been doing fine art painting ever since. So that was a pretty amazing opportunity to be able to learn that at such a young age.
Wow. And from your bio and your artist statement, you've traveled really literally all over the world to follow that artist muse.
I have. I also love art history, and I love different art periods. So it's great learning it from a book, but as soon as I started traveling and kind of experiencing the culture where, you know, all of these different kinds of art are taking place, it just opened everything up, and now I definitely have that travel itch to go everywhere and see all the things.
That's amazing. Some of the places that you've been to Romania and
Yes.
some of those winding cobble streets, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was like really a magical experience. I'll look back on photos and be like, wait, I was really there. This looks like a Pinterest board or something. It was really incredible just to be in such an old culture. You know, I think this area is old, all the colonialism, all of that, but oh my God, all the medieval architecture and everything was just so inspiring.
Well, talking about magical experiences, you had the opportunity through the Cape Cod Art Association, which I believe is the Art Center of Cape Cod now, we'll call it by its new name, and the town of Barnstable has a little shack out on Sandy Neck, and you and I went together.
Yes, we did. That was so much fun, especially meeting you there. I felt like it was such an amazing opportunity to not only get to access that area, but also meet other artists who are doing the same thing. So that was, I still have so many photos and sketches I did from there that I'm like, okay, this is going to sustain me for a while doing new projects.
So talk a little bit about being out there for the days. A lot of people don't understand that, you know, they see the front-facing beach of Sandy Neck, but there's a whole nother life and ecosystem behind those dune barriers. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we were dropped off at the halfway house, which I believe is the halfway point on the, what's it called, the Great Road?
the Great Marsh Road, yeah.
Great Marsh Road. It was a Great Marsh
Or
Road.
trail.
Yeah. So yeah, we got dropped off there and then spent a ton of time walking. I kept thinking, okay, now I'm going to stop and paint. No, wait, what's around the corner? All of that. So it was just amazing to get to see the marsh from that area and to really be immersed in it. It felt very quiet, which was really nice to be kind of know you're in the middle of everything, but have this experience that I don't know where else you would get it.
Right. So you talk about going around the corner. I came around the corner and saw you painting. Plein air. I mean, describe that experience. It was a magical day because the weather was just absolutely gorgeous. It was mid-October.
I think it was 70 degrees. I think it was suntan out there. Yeah, it was amazing. I kind of walked the whole trail, and then on the way back was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. And I just came around this bend, saw this beautiful scene with the light hitting it just right, the blue shadows, and so I just set up my easel as close in the marsh as I could without disturbing any conservation efforts. And yeah, I just went to painting, and so I have a few little gouache sketches that I'm going to turn into larger oil paintings later.
Great. Perfect segue to the oil paintings that are adorning the hearing room upstairs.
Yeah.
And it's literally stunning work.
Thank you.
You know, having seen you out there with your camera and knowing what the visual was out there, we talk about the experience of hanging your work in Town Hall.
Well, it's such a cool program that I didn't realize until I got more involved with Town Hall was here. It's an artwork on loan program where they feature different artists for periods of time, and you get to either groups or single artists, local artists, and you get to hang your work in the hearing room and the public office room.
Yep.
Not sure what that's called. And yeah, so it's a really great opportunity to kind of low pressure situation, but tons of exposure to just really design this show on my own. You know, you're not working in restrictions of a gallery, and so it's a pretty cool opportunity right now.
And you're going to be up there for a period of time, at least through the end of this month, so we highly encourage residents to come in and look at this work. Most of it's from Sandy Neck.
It is, yeah. Yeah, that was I had a lot of paintings, and then when I got the opportunity to show here, I was like, ooh, I gotta get all those half-finished Sandy Neck oil paintings finished. So it was pretty cool because it was such an inspiring place. The light was so amazing. It felt really Cape Cod, but I also loved that we went there in the fall when it's sort of not your typical beach scene or beach sunset. So I have a nice marsh sunset, but you know, all those gorgeous golds and rich colors of fall that you don't always see in Cape Cod art.
It's stunning work.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
and
really
I
happy
loved
with
meeting you, and it was a wonderful day out there. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
We have art on our community calendar. As a part of its ongoing 70th anniversary events, the Cape Cod Art Center will be hosting an informative talk on artist Vernon Smith, one of Cape Cod Art Center's founding members and a significant figure in the history of art on Cape Cod. The talk will be presented on May 23rd at noon by Dr. Edith Tonelli, who studied and researched Vernon Smith's work while writing her doctoral thesis, The Massachusetts Federal Art Project, a case study in government support for art. The talk is free and open to the public. The Cape Cod Art Center is located at 3480 Route 6A, Barnstable. For more information, visit www.capecodartcenter.org or call 508-362-2909. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.